All right, let's jump into another deep dive. Today we're going exploring Knowhow Manager. It's a platform that claims to, well, change how businesses handle all of their knowledge.
Yeah, it sounds pretty ambitious.
For sure. And we've got a mountain of sources to dig through for this one.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
We've got user manuals, some really technical deep dives, and even a few philosophical pieces about it. So
We're going deep.
that's the idea. But really, the goal here is to give you a quick understanding of, well, what Knowhow Manager is, what it actually does, and how it can impact a business, like really impact a business.
I think everyone's looking for that kind of edge.
Yeah, for sure. And just to pique your interest a little bit, we'll be talking about a no-bot that can answer questions, and even a way to kick off processes right from your workflow software, like Jira. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, that's caught my attention. You know, one thing that really stood out to me from all this material is that we're not just talking about replacing PDFs, or those static documents.
It seems like it's a lot more than that.
Yeah, it seems like Knowhow Manager wants to push for something way more dynamic, almost like a living knowledge base.
Yeah, I'm picking up on that vibe too. I mean, think about how many times you've wasted time at work just trying to find the right procedure, or you're waiting for a colleague to, get back to you with an answer. Knowhow Manager is trying to fix that, I think, by having all those procedures in one place, easy to find.
And when you make that shift, right, from those static documents to something that's alive and, dynamic, you get some big benefits. Easy updates, built-in version control, and real-time collaboration.
Yeah, no more emailing files back and forth.
Exactly.
So how does this thing actually work? From what I'm seeing, Knowhow Manager is web-based, so you can use it on your computer, your tablet, even your phone.
Makes sense.
Yeah, total flexibility. And they've gotten rid of those old clunky processes and replaced them with what they call decks and cards.
Decks and cards.
Yeah, so instead of trying to wade through a massive document, you get these bite-sized pieces of information, broken down and easy to follow.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture. So a deck would be like a specific procedure, like how to onboard a new employee or how to process an invoice.
Yeah, exactly. And each card within the deck is a step in that procedure.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like a really smart way to simplify all those complex processes. And get this, you can even execute these procedures right inside your workflow software, like Jira.
Wait, hold on. Back up a second. So you're saying if I'm in Jira working on a project, I can launch a Knowhow Manager procedure from right there.
That's exactly it. No more switching back and forth between different systems.
So it streamlines everything.
Yeah, it's all about cutting out those extra steps. Imagine you're launching, a new marketing campaign. Instead of manually creating a bunch of Jira tasks, you use Knowhow Manager to generate the entire workflow automatically, all pre-populated with tasks from your approved procedure.
That would save a ton of time.
Absolutely. And think about how much easier onboarding new employees could be. Instead of taking weeks or months to get up to speed, they have access to all the essential procedures from day one.
Yeah, that's a huge benefit for sure. And a lot of our sources highlighted that streamlined onboarding is a major plus.
It makes sense. And those procedures are dynamic, so they're always up to date. No more confusion because you're working from an old version.
And that brings up something else that really jumped out at me. Knowhow Manager seems to be designed for collaboration, and constant improvement. It has features where users can give feedback, suggest changes, even flag problems with procedures.
Yeah, that sets it apart from just a basic documentation tool. It's about shared responsibility for that knowledge.
So it's not just top-down, it's a two-way street.
Yeah, everyone contributes and makes sure things are accurate and up to date.
So it's not just documenting procedures, but actually creating like a learning environment.
That's right. And one of the sources even talked about a know-how maturity model where companies can move from just documenting things to, a more integrated and collaborative approach.
Wow, this is already blowing my mind a little bit. Interactive procedures, Jira integration, collaboration, a maturity model. But wait, there's more. Remember that no-bot I mentioned?
Oh, yeah.
Things are about to get really interesting.
I'm all ears.
So the no-bot is basically like having your own personal assistant inside Knowhow Manager, ready to help you find anything you need.
Okay, that sounds helpful.
Right. And it's AI powered, so it understands your questions and points you to the right procedures. But it can do more than just answer basic questions.
Like what?
It can guide you to relevant procedures, explain concepts, and even give access to information that's publicly available.
So someone visits your website, they have a question, they can just ask the no-bot.
Yeah, and get an instant answer. No more searching through FAQs or sending an email and waiting for a response.
That's pretty cool.
Right. It's like having a 247 knowledge expert available to anyone.
So we've got internal knowledge sharing, external knowledge sharing, and AI in the mix. What else is there?
Well, we've barely scratched the surface. We'll be back to explore more of Knowhow Manager's features in the next part of our deep dive.
Like what?
We'll be looking at things like visual launch pads and really diving into the security features. Oh, and we'll break down that Knowhow maturity model a bit more, too.
Sounds good. I'm ready for more.
Stay tuned because this deep dive is just getting started. Okay, that Knowbot is impressive, gotta admit.
For sure.
But let's not forget about the practical stuff, right? This system's holding a company's most valuable know-how.
It's mission critical.
Right. So it has to be, like, super secure, don't you think?
Absolutely. Security is paramount when you're dealing with a company's, well, their core knowledge, right? And from what we've seen, Knowhow Manager takes this very seriously.
Oh, yeah. What makes you say that?
Well, our sources go into a lot of detail about their security measures. Things like virus and malware scanning, regular security updates, and strict access control. You know, who can see what...
So no worries about hackers stealing our top secret stuff.
Well, those measures are a great foundation,
Right.
you know. But you can never be too careful, really.
Yeah, true.
The key takeaway here is that Knowhow Manager really emphasizes multi-factor authentication.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Especially for anyone who can publish or administer the system, right? So there's this extra layer of security.
Makes sense.
It ensures that only authorized personnel can make those critical changes, like publishing a new procedure or, you know, accidentally deleting something important.
Yeah, you don't want just anyone messing with those procedures. And that reminds me, we talked about those public-facing categories earlier. How does Knowhow Manager balance, like, making stuff accessible to customers, like FAQs, but also keeping the really sensitive internal stuff safe?
It's a good question, and it seems like they've thought that through.
The
sources explain that anonymous users, right, they can access some public stuff through the Knowbot,
Right.
but they never see the full details.
Yeah.
Like, they might see the title of a procedure, maybe a brief description, but not the actual step-by-step instructions.
So it's like a little sneak peek.
Exactly. Just enough to give them an idea, but not the whole enchilada.
I like that. Clever way to share knowledge without, giving away the crown jewels.
Right. So you can engage those external audiences, but you're also protecting your intellectual property. But hey, let's switch gears a bit. One thing that caught my eye was the mention of visual launch pads. Did you see anything about those?
Oh, yeah, those sound cool. It's like they present procedures in a more visual way, right? More graphic, easier to understand.
That's the idea. Picture a custom image-based interface, maybe a flowchart or a diagram, where each element is clickable and it's linked to a specific procedure or card.
So instead of a wall of text, you get this visual representation.
Exactly. It's all about making it intuitive.
Now that sounds user-friendly.
And the best part is, these launchpads aren't just for internal use. You can embed them on websites, even integrate them into mobile apps.
So a new employee, their first day, they log in, and instead of a bunch of documents, they get this visually appealing launchpad.
Right.
It guides them through the key procedures, makes onboarding more engaging.
Exactly. It almost gamifies the experience, which can be less intimidating, more fun. And, speaking of integration, remember how we talked about the Jira connection? Well, it turns out it's even more powerful than we initially thought.
Oh, really? How so?
So Knowhow Manager can actually create entire instances of procedures right inside Jira.
Wait, hold on. Instances? What does that even mean?
Okay, imagine you have a procedure in Knowhow Manager, let's say, for processing customer returns.
Okay.
Instead of manually recreating those steps as Jira tasks, you can use the execute instance function.
Okay.
This automatically creates a Jira issue with all the necessary subtasks pulled directly from the Knowhow Manager procedure.
So it's like cloning the procedure into Jira, all ready to go.
Exactly. It's ready to be assigned and trapped as part of a project.
That is incredible. Talk about a time saver.
Right. It streamlines project management, ensures everyone's working from the same playbook. And it works for any procedure, no matter how complex.
Wow. It's clear that Knowhow Manager is all about efficiency. Speaking of which, did you notice how it even has features that help companies comply with ISO 9001 standards?
You're right. I saw that too. For those who might not be familiar, ISO 9001 is, it's this globally recognized standard for quality management.
It's a big deal.
It is. It outlines all these requirements for making sure products and services meet customer expectations and regulations.
So how does Knowhow Manager help with that?
In several key ways. Firstly, because it's dynamic and has built-in version control, it's easy to keep procedures updated.
Ah, that's crucial for ISO.
Right. And then there are the archiving features. So admins can access old versions, which is essential for audits.
Like a built-in audit trail.
Exactly. You can track every single change. And remember those social feedback mechanisms. Those are important for ISO compliance too. By letting users flag issues and suggest improvements, you're encouraging continuous improvement.
Which is what ISO is all about.
Right. It's not just about documentation. It's about making things better over time, based on feedback.
This is all making a lot of sense now. But we still haven't really dug into the know-how maturity model. I'm really fascinated by this idea of companies leveling up their knowledge game.
It's a great way to think about it.
Let's dive into that in the next part of our deep dive.
This is good. We'll break down the key parts of the maturity model and how Knowhow Manager can help companies reach those higher levels, the higher levels of knowledge mastery.
Stay tuned, everybody. Okay, so we've talked about a lot. Interactive procedures, that AI-powered NoBot, the security features, even ISO compliance.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. But there's one last piece I really want to explore. That know-how maturity model we keep mentioning.
Yeah.
What is it, really? And, why should we care?
It's interesting, think of it as a roadmap for companies to see how well they're using their knowledge.
Okay.
It's not just about having procedures written down somewhere. It's about how well that knowledge is woven into how the organization works.
Mm-hmm.
Can people find what they need easily? Is it being measured? Is it improving?
So it's about how well a company uses its knowledge to its advantage, right? Not just letting it sit there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the sources even called it a barometer for knowledge management success.
I like that.
It pushes companies to go beyond just basic documentation, to think more strategically about their know-how. And that's where Knowhow Manager fits in, I think. It helps companies move up that maturity ladder.
All right, you've got me hooked. Break it down for me. What are the key parts of this maturity model?
So the model focuses on three main things: integration, visibility, and balanced metrics. Let's start with integration. This is about how well knowledge is part of the day-to-day work. Are those procedures easy to access? Can you launch them right from your workflow, like we're talking about with Jira? Are teams sharing knowledge effectively?
So it's about breaking down those silos and making sure information can flow freely.
Exactly. The better the integration, the smoother things run.
Yeah.
More efficiency, more innovation. Then there's visibility. This is about making sure the right people have the right information when they need it. Can employees find what they need quickly? Is the information presented in a way that makes sense? And, this is a big one, are they capturing that, that unspoken knowledge that people have in their heads?
Yeah, like that saying, knowledge is power, but only if you can access it.
That's it. Visibility makes knowledge useful. And finally, there's balanced metrics. This is where you move beyond just tracking activity and start measuring the real impact of, all your knowledge management efforts.
So you're saying it's not enough to just say, we have documented procedures, right? You need to know if they're actually working.
Exactly. You need to know if they're effective, how you can improve them. Balanced metrics is about using data to make things better, making sure your knowledge management is helping the whole organization.
Makes sense. So we've got integration, visibility, and balanced metrics, the three pillars of the know-how maturity model. What does it all mean in practice, though? What do companies actually get out of this?
The benefits are huge, honestly. Our research shows that as companies move up the maturity model, they see all kinds of improvements: higher productivity, faster onboarding for new employees, fewer errors, and even happier customers.
Wow, that's impressive. It's a win-win for everyone, it sounds like.
It really does. But how does Knowhow Manager help with all this? Is it just the features, or is there something more?
Yeah, good question.
It's a combination, I think. The features are important, of course. Things like the interactive procedures, the AI-powered search, the integration with other tools. But it's also the philosophy behind Knowhow Manager.
What do you mean?
It's about changing how people think about knowledge management. It's not a chore, it's a real advantage.
It's about moving from, hoarding knowledge to sharing it.
Exactly. Everyone benefits when you share knowledge. And Knowhow Manager gives you the tools and the framework to make that happen.
This has been a really eye-opening deep dive. We've gone from the basics of Knowhow Manager to some pretty deep ideas about, how companies can use knowledge to achieve their goals.
It's been quite a journey.
As we wrap up, what are the key takeaways you want to leave our listeners with?
The biggest one is that Knowhow Manager is not just a documentation tool. It's a whole platform that can change how organizations capture, share, and use their collective knowledge.
It empowers employees, makes workflows smoother, and helps businesses succeed.
It's like they took the best parts of traditional knowledge management, added some cool technology, and made it all easy to use.
And the second takeaway?
Knowledge management is a journey, not a destination.
Mm.
The Knowhow Maturity model is a guide, way to help organizations get better at using their knowledge and achieve more.
It's about always trying to improve, never settling for good enough when it comes to knowledge.
So, as we finish up here, we encourage you to think about how your organization handles knowledge. Could Knowhow Manager help you be more efficient, more collaborative, more innovative?
We've given you a lot to consider today, and hopefully you've discovered some new ideas that will help you on your own knowledge management journey.
I hope so.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.